Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village nestled among rolling green hills, there lived an old lady. She was very old, with hair as white as silver and a face full of gentle wrinkles, each one telling a story of a life fully lived. But her eyes were bright and full of a deep, unwavering kindness. Everyone in the village, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, loved her. They called her Grandma Willow, not because she was related to them, but because her presence was as comforting and steadfast as the ancient banyan trees she lived near. She was always happy, you see, even when life was hard. Her smile was like a little ray of sunshine that could break through the darkest clouds. She lived all alone in a cozy little house right at the edge of the village, its garden overflowing with colorful flowers. She had no children of her own, and her husband had passed away many years ago. But still, you would never hear a word of complaint from her. Instead, she would spend her days sitting under the cool shade of the big banyan tree, talking to anyone who passed by, and always smiling. That warm, reassuring smile. In that village, life was a tapestry of hard work and simple joys. Some were farmers, their hands calloused from tilling the soil. Some were carpenters, their workshops filled with the scent of fresh-cut wood. Others ran small stalls in the bustling village market. But life was not always easy. Sometimes the rains wouldn't come, and the precious crops would wither and dry up under the harsh sun. Sometimes a sickness would sweep through the village, leaving people too weak to work. In those difficult times, a shadow of worry would fall over the faces of the villagers. It was during these hard times that the old lady's wisdom truly shone. When people felt discouraged, their shoulders slumped with the weight of their troubles, they would find their way to her. They would sit with her under the banyan tree, the leaves whispering secrets to the wind, and they would pour out their hearts. A farmer might say, "Grandma Willow, the river is low. My fields are thirsty. I don't know what we'll do." Another might sigh, "My son is sick, and the medicine is so expensive." The worries were many, and they were heavy. Grandma Willow would listen patiently, her bright eyes never leaving their face. She wouldn't offer easy solutions or empty platitudes. Instead, she would simply nod, and then, when they were done, she would share a story. "I remember a time," she'd begin, "when the frost came so early it bit all the buds off the mango trees. We thought we'd have no fruit that year." She'd pause, a gentle smile playing on her lips. But then, the wild berry bushes in the forest produced more berries than we had ever seen. It wasn't mangoes, but our bellies were full, and we learned that when one door closes, nature often opens another. Her stories were always like that, simple, drawn from her own long life, but filled with a quiet strength. She reminded them of past droughts they had survived, of illnesses they had overcome together, of the community's power to support one another. She didn't dismiss their pain. She acknowledged it, but then she gently shifted their focus from the problem to their own resilience. She would point out the small things. "Look," she'd say, gesturing to a tiny wildflower pushing its way through a crack in the dry earth. "Even when the ground is hard, life finds a way to bloom." Slowly but surely, the villagers would leave her side with a lighter step. Her stories were like seeds of hope planted in their hearts. They began to see not just the drought, but the strength in their neighbors. They started sharing what little they had, a sack of grain here, a piece of cloth there. The carpenter fixed the leaky roof of the sick boy's house for free. The market vendor gave extra vegetables to the farmer whose crops had failed. The old lady's happiness wasn't a denial of hardship. It was an active choice, a guiding light that showed them how to find strength and community in the face of it. One day, a young Trabala, weary and disheartened by his own journey, stopped in the village. He saw the villagers working together, sharing laughter even as they repaired a well that had run dry. He was puzzled. He approached one of the farmers and asked, "How can you all be so content when things are so difficult?" The farmer smiled, a smile that mirrored the old lady's, and pointed towards the banyan tree. "Go talk to Grandma Willow," he said. "She teaches us that happiness isn't about having everything. It's about seeing the good in what we have, especially in each other." And so, the legacy of the kind old lady wasn't in wealth or monuments, but in the spirit of the village itself. She taught them that a smile can be a beacon, that a story can be a lifeline, and that the greatest treasure is a heart full of kindness and a community that cares. She showed them that even in the toughest of times, there is always a reason to be happy, if only you know where to look. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that warm the soul. We'll see you in the next one.